Hello and welcome back to Why Such a Fuss podcast. We have Kate Jennett from JennettsHRSolutions with us again. Hi, Kate.
Great. Hi, Christina.
Excellent. So in today's episode, we are going to answer one of the key questions, which is after selecting the candidate, what are the next steps? From an HR perspective, Kate, what would an organization be doing that are key steps after selecting the candidate?
So once the candidate has been selected, ultimately the onboarding process begins. However, rewind back slightly, initially, obviously, we need to send out an offer of employment to the successful candidate. What I always advise clients is to always make this a conditional offer of employment. And what that means is you can require certain criteria before officially offering the job, which allows time for you to then collect references, complete any pre-employment checks, complete the necessary right to work checks. Because if the job offer was not a conditional offer and then you completed these checks and there was anything unsatisfactory or something that you weren't happy with, you are then ultimately bound by that employment contract, even if the candidate potentially hasn't even started work yet. If you were to then withdraw that offer, you would be in effect with terminating the contract. So then you would be liable for notice periods and any other losses that candidate may have suffered. So I always say, ensure a conditional offer of employment is sent and then outline in that offer letter what those requirements are, what the conditional offer is subject to, satisfactory references, necessary employment checks, etc. Whatever, job specific. Obviously, there's different pre-employment checks required for different roles, different industries. But that is obviously important to have that there to avoid being liable for other things down the line unnecessarily.
Yeah, thanks. And from a GDPR perspective, once you've selected a candidate and you're then going to offer the role to that candidate together with that offer, whether it's conditional or not, well, hopefully it's conditional, then, privacy notice should be added, so in conjunction with that. And the other thing to be aware of is that when you are storing as an organization the data of the applicant, you must store it securely. So you must have sure that your system has all of the various security measures, technical and operational measures, only authorized personnel to have access to that data. If as part of the onboarding, you're also collecting from the candidate and the job applicant information such as ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, trade union membership, criminal convictions, medical, etc., that the individual might or might have not volunteered. Make sure that you keep this information, this data separate from the applicant file, from the candidate file, and if you can, better to anonymize them, or at the very least, you need to pseudonymize them. So in other words, they should never be put together because all of that information can identify the individual and therefore you will then be in breach of data protection. So keep them separate and anonymize them if you can, if possible, but at the very least, pseudonymize them. Excellent.
That's really interesting. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yes.
And I think that's probably something a lot of businesses aren't aware of at that stage. That's probably something that they consider further down the line, but potentially that could be too late if there is.
Yeah, it should start really. I mean, the ideal is that an organization should have a process in place when an employee or a new employee, whether it's current or future, to have that data separate. So you have one system, like an HR system where you have, the employee bank details, performance review, all of that stuff. And then their more sensitive information, they have volunteered at the beginning of the onboarding process in a separate file where they're not linked to an individual. Because ultimately, the reason why an organization wants to collect this information, like ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, is to do with comply with the Equality Act. So long as they can demonstrate that they have, men and women working in their organization, a ratio, proportional ratios, that they have various ethnicity, that they have various religions. So in other words, they're not discriminating. They don't have to say Christina is female and John is male. Do you know what I mean? That information doesn't have to be linked to an individual. It's just an analysis.
Yeah,
it's a report. So that's what it means. Yes. So there you go.
Excellent.
I've learned something new and you've learned something new. It's great. I love this.
Definitely. Yeah.
Excellent, Kate. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.